And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again another day, committed to being your consumer advocate. It's all about making you just a bit more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We do that by bringing on over 50 different show partners where we bring on the best areas of law. I call it intelligent talk radio, law, finance, estate and tax planning, real estate, of course, credit, solar company, so many different ways that we help you here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. But it's up to you to engage. Reach out to the hotline, 813-750-0550, 813-670-0550 is our consumer advocate hotline.
Used to call me on my cell phone.
And consumerqb.com, all of our information at consumerqb.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Giving a shout out to Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning, the official cleaning partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning. They are COVID-19 certified for infection prevention and control, and they do a great job cleaning our real estate properties. And follow them on Facebook at Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning. Woman-owned, local business. Support the local economy right here in Tampa Bay by supporting a great company, Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning. All right, we got a great lineup for you today. Gulfside Healthcare Service is going to be on the show. And first, we're going to talk to Frank Charles Miranda Law coming up here in just a moment. I want to let you know about a couple of hot listings that we've got, a couple of real estate properties available here in Tampa Bay. 8001 U.S. Highway 301 South in Riverview. This is the Riverview Sandwich Shop. And the folks out in East Hillsborough County, they really know what this is about. It's been an institution in that area for 30 to 40 years. 8001 U.S. Highway 301 South in Riverview is a great opportunity. It's a business opportunity. It's operating as a restaurant, listed at $800,000, just slightly above $800,000. There's also a second building structure that has a church operating there as well. So you got a rental income built in if you're the owner, and the opportunity for two actual physical locations on the same parcel of land. Now, you've also got 45 to 50,000 vehicles per day driving by this restaurant opportunity. 8001 U.S. Highway 301 South in Riverview. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we got attorney Lauren Frieder on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Frank Charles Miranda Law. Welcome back to the show, Lauren.
Thanks, Brandon. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Staying busy. I'm sure you guys are. It's a low inventory market, but we're still, seeing record low mortgage rates. Real estate deals are popping. Law, I'm sure you guys are busy with your law as well. What are you seeing out there on your end?
We're seeing a lot on our end. So, it's funny you brought up like refis and the loan stuff. So I thought maybe today we could talk about, so if somebody wants to refinance, is it even worth it? And if you took a forbearance under the CARES Act, can you even refi right now?
Yeah. So what is it? Let's start with the definition. What is a forbearance? What does that actually mean?
Well, so remember, a forbearance simply means that, so here we're going to be talking about mortgage payments are being postponed. They're not forgiven. So eventually you're going to have to make up those mortgage payments.
Okay.
So you're on a pause from having to pay your mortgage, but you're going to eventually have to make up those monthly payments.
Okay. So the payments, you got to make up the mortgage payments. Because I think people have a misconception about that. They think, okay, well, that's great. They're just going to wrap it around to the end of the loan or something like that. Is it not wrapped around to the end?
Well, so it can be. So what are your options when your forbearance comes due? Now, first off, you got to remember, if your home loan is federally backed, which about 75% of all homes in the United States are backed by the federal government. Mm-hmm. So that's going to include like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans, loans backed by the VA, Veterans Association, and the Federal Housing Administration. The good news is for our vets out there, they've got a lot more protection than the rest of us under the CARES Act. So right now, if your home loan is federally backed under the CARES Act, you are entitled to postpone your mortgage payments for a total of 360 days. So the first 180 days, you can go ahead and then reapply if you need another 180 days if you've been impacted financially by COVID. And this is what we call a forbearance. So if your forbearance is coming due, that is going to be a problem. Obviously, we just talked about the fact that, say, it was 180 days, you asked for a forbearance. You can request an extension of up to another 180 days. So when your forbearance plan, though, comes to an end, you may have to pay all those past due payments at once. And so for most people, this is not necessarily that realistic. But if it's possible for you to do this, it's going to save you money on that accrued interest, and it'll catch you up on your mortgage right away. Another option is a loan modification.
To me too. Let's talk about that forbearance. You know, when this came about, COVID-19 hit us. People didn't know what was going on. A lot of industries shut down. We in the real estate industry, we had 3, maybe 4 weeks of just like dead silence. What's going on? And then all of a sudden it started picking back up. So this is, it's a frustrating part of our, our government, the veteran loans, even just regular loans, VA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, to have a forbearance in place and then say 6 months later, the bank, when I say them, the bank, the lender, saying, yeah, now give us all that money at once. Yeah, we gave you a few months off, but now we want all the money. It just seems like the earning power just was diminished due to uncontrollable. You know what I mean? How it's just a frustrating point for.
It's got to be frustrating, and yeah. I think what's important is when we're talking about these federally backed loans, which is going to be most of our people out here, since there's 75% of homeowners are through these federally backed loans. The lender cannot force you to pay the postponed payments all at once your forbearance expires. At a minimum, the lender must agree to replace the postponed payments to the end of your loan. So, you got to remember, if you're going to sell that property one day, those payments, which have now been placed to the end of your loan, would still need to be paid.
Right.
But that's good to know that if people are getting nervous about this coming up, their forbearance period expiring, if it was covered under the CARES Act, the lender cannot force you to pay all that money at once. You could ask them to tack it on some of your monthly payments, but they have to at least at a minimum place all those payments at the end of your loan. That's helpful to people right now.
Yeah, I think that's a better option if it can be placed at the end of the loan. It gives you time. It allows you to have time on your side to be able to try to figure out a game plan. By the way, if you just joined us, we're talking with attorney Lauren Frieder, Frank Charles Miranda Law here in Tampa Bay, another local one of our partners, our on-air contributors, a legal analyst for the Consumer Quarterback Show. They're located on Cypress Street in Tampa. Frank Charles Miranda, trial attorneys here in Tampa Bay. So the CARES law, the forbearance options. We talked about moratorium on evictions. Again, it's a double-edged sword there, right? You got landlords that are saying, "Hey, I need to make some income on this money," but then the tenants are in a bad position also because the economy's been hit so hard and especially specific industries got hit harder than others.
This is true. I mean, it's bad like you said, on both ends. We represent a lot of landlords, and with these eviction stays in place, and there's no really relief for the landlords. So they're not getting, rental money that they might be depending on. And as these orders keep getting extended, I do think that they need to do something more for the landlords so everybody can be taken care of. These are unprecedented times, but I think everybody is suffering a little bit in any which way.
Yeah, and I guess they just look at it like, oh, well, they own multiple parcels of land. They're a landlord. They're in a better position, or they have a deeper balance sheet. But that may not be the case. That might be somebody's retirement income.
Their retirement, their income, and what we're going on, 5-6 months. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You're losing, especially if you do have multiple properties. I mean, obviously, there's programs. People could have gone the PPP. There's different stuff, in place for everybody. But I think it's really going to be interesting to see what happens because I foresee a lot of foreclosures and evictions for the unforeseeable future.
Yeah, exactly. That's when we look at the future, we look at what's going to potentially happen. I think so much is dictated or predicated on what happens in November. But also there's some things that you can see that's going to happen either way. Most notably, the commercial market. the commercial, that small business owner that was renting that 2,000 square foot space, that 3,000 square foot space at a strip mall, for example, or could be even an office park. I see the commercial sector getting hit pretty hard here in the future.
They are getting hit really hard, and that's a really good point, because even though, for example, evictions are stayed for residents, commercial tenants and landlords are being affected by it too, because right here in Hillsborough County, if you're a commercial tenant not paying your rent, they're still not going to evict you. So the commercial landlord is suffering as well.
Yeah.
So even though these places are these stays are in place for residences, with the writ of possession process, the sheriffs will not serve them, so the evictions cannot go through the final step if the person is unwilling to vacate.
Well, when we come back, I want to ask you about loan modifications. I want to ask you what do you see in the future in terms of loan modifications? Because if you remember back in 08, 09, 2010, there was a lot of loan modification talk. There were some companies that came through and scammed people. So I want to ask you specifically about loan modifications in residential and potentially in the commercial side, and see what your thoughts are there. We also have later in the show Christy Churchill coming on the show from Gulfside Healthcare Services, and more from our expert contributors coming up. Plus, our feel-good story of the day. Restaurant owner is providing hundreds of free meals daily to help Iowa storm victims. Stay with us. Consumer Quarterback Show. Check out consumerqb.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team. Keller Williams Realty, helping you win in your real estate deals, buying, selling, or investing. We would love to talk to you. Top-ranked real estate team right here in Tampa Bay. My wife Lindsay and I own and operate top team, and we're actually ranked in the top 1% of all realtors. So we'd love to talk to you. Give us a call or hit us up on the website. And this segment's brought to you by Brothers Easy Moving, the official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Brothers Easy Moving, whether you're planning a local, long distance move, they can definitely help you with that. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, they are a first-class organization. They did a great job cleaning our doing our move, helping us pack up. They do junk hauling as well, office moves as well. Brothers Easy Moving, the official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, a couple of hot property listings. 2528 Appaloosa Trail. This is a great opportunity in Palm Harbor. It's right around that $500,000 price point, but it's an estate-style home, large home, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, 3-car garage, pool home. You've got an enclosed pool area with a raised deck as well, and you watch nature pass you by with a conservation view. And all of our real estate listings are available at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, so we've got attorney Lauren Frieder on the Consumer Quarterback Show talking about different types of forbearance options. Does it make sense to refinance right now? You've got to look at the cost side of that, the cost benefit, and how much you'll actually be gaining. And then also the veterans are pretty well protected, you're saying, Lauren. You're telling us about that.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if just in general, if you're looking to refi, if you can't get a 2% interest rate reduction, refi is probably not worth it, because you're going to go through the cost of closing, opening up new escrow, and fees might not make it worth it. So with the VA loan, what they're not looking at is, so a normal lender is going to want to see if you took a forbearance out under the CARES Act. They want to see that you're done with that forbearance program and you have at least 3 months of mortgage payments made on time, which this is different if you have the VA loan. So if you are in forbearance as a vet and you have a VA loan, you should go ahead now and still speak to your lender to see if you can get qualified for a better interest rate and go ahead and refi. The VA will not consider a veteran as an unsatisfactory credit risk based solely upon the fact that the veteran received some type of credit forbearance or some type of deferred payment during COVID, which is different than the rest of us. So these deferred payments cannot be considered for credit risk purposes. Lenders instead just need to continue to review and evaluate all applicable credit qualifying information like residual income, debt to income ratio, credit and assets, but they're not allowed to look at the fact if you went into forbearance. The VA is waiving a lot of prior approval requirements applicable to delinquent loans.
Okay. Yeah, so that makes sense when you look at, this, what they've done for the country, and then of course the way that the the economic situation is right now. And then going back to the other question, we're kind of, we don't have any definitive answers, it sounds like, on the loan modifications, but it would make sense to me that if I'm a lender and I'm holding paper on a $5 million building, for example, and I've got my tenants having trouble making payments, that they might want to restructure that debt. They might want to do some type of a loan modification. And
yeah, you should apply for loan modification if you can. I'm not too aware of too many commercial lenders that are doing that yet.
Yeah.
I will say this, on the residential side, if you do nothing once your forbearance period has ended, so you don't come back with applying for a modification of your loan, you don't place those postponed payments at the end of the loan like we discussed before, you don't apply for an extension of your forbearance. So if you basically sit back and do nothing, the mortgage company is going to declare you in default and file a foreclosure against you.
Interesting.
Yep. So you got to do something.
Yeah.
Once you receive the notice that your forbearance is ending, you've got to take action.
Right.
And if you don't actually have a copy of your forbearance plan, you need to demand that from your mortgage company, because you need to have that written documentation to make sure that you're following this. Obviously we're all going through a crisis. There's millions of people out there, and a lot of these large mortgage service providers may not actually have systems in place to quickly update homeowners' mortgage accounts to reflect that they're in forbearance. So, keep an eye out on these monthly mortgage statements. If the statements don't reflect that your account is under forbearance, you need to call your mortgage and make sure that your forbearance plan has been put into place. We saw a lot of this with selling paper, all that stuff that happened back in 2008. So be proactive if you're taking a forbearance, and realize that, there's a lot of these large mortgage servicers, and they, we're all going through this together, but they probably don't have the capability, and there's going to be people that fall through the cracks that unfortunately might get foreclosed upon, even though they thought they did everything right. So keep all that written documentation. Very important.
Yeah, that's a great point. By the way, if you just joined us, we're talking with Lauren Frieder, attorney Lauren Frieder, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Frank Miranda, attorneys at law, fcmlaw.com, fcmlaw.com. And we urge you to reach out and, contact the show for any information. If you're in a position like this, we get calls pretty often about different scenarios on real estate deals, different credit situations, and we'd love to help you. That's what we like to do here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, put you in touch with the best possible connection of one of our 50-plus show partners that we have here with the Consumer Quarterback Show. And so, yeah, it's an interesting thing, but the overall themes still remain the same. Be proactive, document things, and contact the bank. Be a open line of communication instead of closed line of communication.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same thing I talk about all the time. If you're a tenant, talk to your landlord. Try to work something out. You've got to take a proactive step. You can't just sit back and then think nothing's going to happen. It eventually will catch up with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like they think sometimes no news is good news, and he didn't do. Well, behind the scenes, they're filing documents, they're going to the courthouse, they're filing stuff. So then all of a sudden you get hit with that big stack of paperwork, and you're like, whoa, what is this? Couldn't we talk about this? Well, you had a chance to talk, but you withheld the rents, or you weren't fully transparent. There's different situations. So yeah, when you look at the real estate market, it's interesting. I feel like there's so many people, moving down to Florida, especially from those high tax states. You got huge tax increases over in California. I hear even they have something on their docket in California where they can actually chase you or follow you for 10 years to try to collect taxes from you, even if you move out of the state.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. California just seems, man, it's definitely a different world out there. So a lot of those folks are moving to Texas. They're moving to states like Arizona, and of course Florida's pretty high on that list of New Yorkers moving down traditionally. But now I think more than ever, because not only the property tax, the income tax, just the quality of life, the things that we offer here, it's just so that we're seeing that. I know you guys are pretty busy on your real estate closing side as well.
We are, it's booming. What is the saying? I think it's every 3 to 4 buyers for a seller. So the market's hot.
Yep.
It's really hot if you're a seller too, because you're probably going to end up hopefully having some buyers in a bidding war and over ask value. So we are busy over here. Stephanie's desk has got more files than I've ever seen in my life. Bless her heart.
Yeah, that's right. Good. Staying busy. So yeah, when you look at the overall economy, things are looking pretty good right now. Some people are talking about what happens when this stimulus money runs out. I think that's the big kicker right now is what people are considering. It looks like it's going pretty well now, but is it falsely, is it a house of cards? Is it falsely propped up? Time will tell.
Time will tell. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so parting words of wisdom, Lauren Frieder, Frank Charles Miranda Law, again, office right here in Tampa Bay, right on Cypress Street. Mobile closings as well for the real estate side. Stephanie can do mobile closings, and the business is staying pretty busy. So final thoughts from you, Lauren.
I'd say my final thought, since we're talking about forbearances, would be keep an eye on your credit, because if you were current on your mortgage before COVID and you are now on a forbearance, the mortgage company must continue to report you as current. If you were falling behind on payments prior to COVID and you're now on a forbearance, your mortgage company is only permitted to report that you are now on a forbearance. So right now during the pandemic, you can go to annualcreditreport.com and you can pull one free credit report each week. So I think it's really important to keep an eye on your credit. Like we talked about with these mortgage servicers, things may not be in place. You want to make sure you're doing your due diligence, because often people won't be doing it for you.
That's right.
And come to us if you do a refi. You are under no obligation for your lender to dictate where you're going to close. So this is your choice. We will be any closing fees quoted for you.
Nice. All right. Good stuff. Hey, thanks so much, Lauren. We appreciate you. Say hello to the team over there. Say hello to Frank and of course, Stephanie and everybody. Keep doing a good job over there.
Thanks so much. Stay safe, Brandon. I'll speak with you soon.
All right. Good stuff. So that's Frank Charles Miranda Law right here in Tampa Bay, longtime friend of the program. Coming up, we've got Christy Churchill. She is going to be representing Gulfside Healthcare Services on the Consumer Quarterback Show. You've heard us talk about home health care and home, hospice, home health care, some of those different scenarios happening, especially with our seniors and other folks that have been in accidents. So we got home health care conversation coming up, plus our feel-good story of the day. Got a restaurant owner is providing hundreds of free meals daily to help Iowa storm victims. Stay with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online at the Consumer Quarterback Show on Facebook, at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com as well. And we'll be right back after these short messages from our sponsors. Don't go.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.